This may be high camp theater, but a number of wrestling stars did have traditional athletic careers. Bill Goldberg first made his name as a defensive tackle at the University of Georgia and then the Atlanta Falcons. Before Kevin Nash was big sexy, he was the Tennessee Volunteers center. The Macho Man came from baseball. Randy Savage was a minor league catcher for the Reds, Cardinals, and White Sox. And Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, played defensive tackle for the Miami Hurricanes. But does that qualify pro wrestlers as athletes? We asked a future Hall of Famer who once stepped through the ropes himself.
When you see the guys take the bumps and the falls that they take, it's no doubt in my mind they're a great athlete.
And they bring to their profession not just traditional athletic skills, speed, agility, and strength, but the ability to play a part, to sell their role, and do so like a Hollywood stuntman.
It's a very physical sport. It's entertainment at its best, but at the same time, sometimes you're expected to jump out of the grandstands into a Dixie cup, without water.
The risks that our guys take night in, night out, and the way that they don't kill themselves, that's athletic.
All pro wrestlers know pain, but even they marvel at Mick Foley's ability to play hurt. Foley is a legend for his pain threshold, which he says surpasses that shown in one of sport's epic moments.
I grew up with a memory of Willis Reed, 1970, championships, limping onto the court as a portrait in courage. And I can honestly say, in all seriousness, that the things I've seen and the things I've done would put Willis Reed to shame as far as playing with pain. I defy any other athlete to play with the type of injuries that we've had.
This can be a painful and violent existence. Ahead, we'll see if the lifestyle in and around the ring leads to premature deaths for an uncommon number of pro wrestlers. And next, whether pro wrestling is serious about ridding itself of steroids. Wayne Coleman wrestled as superstar Billy Graham. His ring career brought fame in the 70s and many health complications ever since. He recently underwent a 9th hip replacement surgery. He suffers from near constant pain. Pain, he told ESPN 5 years ago, that stems from his abuse of steroids.
If I had any way to redo it, I would have never touched a steroid. I have to live the rest of my life now in pain and suffering, and a lot of it.
The complications from steroid abuse are by now familiar. Everything from liver to reproductive to heart problems. WWF Chairman Vince McMahon was acquitted 4 years ago of federal steroid trafficking charges. In pro wrestling, where bigger is always better, how prevalent is steroid use today? Jeremy Schaap tells us there are profound doubts this industry is serious about policing the illegal use of these drugs.
Portland, Oregon's the 23rd largest television market in the United States. It's the only market in the top 34 that neither World Championship Wrestling nor the World Wrestling Federation has visited in the last 6 years.
And quite frankly, we would love to play Portland, Oregon. We would love to. It's a wonderful market.
A wonderful market in the state with the nation's most stringent drug testing procedures for pro wrestling.
Other states have testing procedures and so forth that we have to abide by. We don't have a problem with any of it. It's just that Oregon is so different than all the rest of them.
In April of last year, McMahon's rival organization, WCW, considered staging a show in Portland, according to the recently retired director of the Oregon Boxing and Wrestling Commission. He told ESPN that 12 days after his office forwarded its drug testing laws to WCW, WCW said it would not come to Oregon.
Why did you pull out?
I have no idea.
Aren't you in charge?
Out of everything. I can't tell you,
No recollection?
Why that. No, I really don't remember.
An official with the Rose Garden in Portland told ESPN that the WCW and WWF have made clear their displeasure over the Oregon drug testing laws for pro wrestling. Rose Garden officials are backing a proposed amendment to relax those rules. The state Senate is expected to decide on that amendment by July. Anyone who followed pro wrestling in the 1970s, 80s, and early 90s remembers wrestling's history of admitted steroid abuse. Its two most visible figures, Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon, both testified in a federal trial that they had used steroids when they were legal. Back then, Hogan and McMahon were far from alone.
When I first joined the WWF, I experimented with steroids, I think, as much as it was almost you almost had to.
Using steroids for non-medical reasons became illegal in 1991. That year, a doctor assigned to WWF shows in Pennsylvania was convicted of distributing steroids to wrestlers. McMahon promised to clean up the WWF, saying the Federation's steroid abuse policy would be, quote, the gold standard. But the WWF's own wrestlers admit that that has now changed.
There was a time when it was the most stringent testing of any sport or performance. Now they tend to test people that they believe may have a problem.
McMahon says the WWF tests for steroids when there's reasonable cause. His definition of reasonable cause?
If I see someone with a syringe hanging around, or whatever the case may be, I think that's reasonable cause. We establish the same procedures as anyone else that does any type of drug testing. By the way, is there steroid testing in baseball? I don't think so. Is baseball a sport? Son of a gun. Oh, professional hockey? There's got to be steroid. Oh, I guess not.
Major League Baseball and the NHL don't test for steroids, but the NBA and NFL do.